Call meeting to order.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the February 7th, 2024 version of the Board of Commissioners meeting. I'd like to remind everybody that this is a public meeting and we are being recorded audio and visually, and we have a hybrid option as state law requires. Awards, recognitions, and correspondence.
I do.
I thought you might.
A couple, in fact. The first one is presented by Captain Primer to telecommunicator Kylie Peck. And it's a commendation. This is an event that happened on February 4th, 2024. It says, this is actually coming from an officer of the Melton Free Water Police Department. His name's Officer Dan Lackey. So this is the grounds for the presentation to Kylie. It says, on February 4th, 2024, I received an email which had been forwarded to me from Officer Dan Lackey, who works for the Melton Free Water PD. His email states, Sheriff Terry Rowan, I just wanted to take a moment to tell you about a dispatcher that helped us during a volatile situation. On 1/23/24 at approximately 0100 hours, we had a gentleman by the name of blank in our parking lot honking his horn and driving erratic. That blank, it wasn't me, by the way. I just wanted to make sure that was clear. He made some comments towards Chief's shirts and then took off towards the Chief's residence. So we pursued, pulled over, and called 911. Getting your call center. The dispatcher, I never received her name, spoke to and kept him calm. She was able to coax him out of the vehicle where he was taken into custody. I listened to the recording of her. She was very professional and probably saved us a lot of time trying to get him out of his truck. I just want you, her supervisor, to know that Officer Robinson and I were very appreciative of her for the outstanding job she did. So congratulations to telecommunicator Kylie Peck. So with that in mind, I am also going to read another letter from Captain Primer. So it's kind of a different light on the same telecommunicator. Please join me in congratulating Kylie Peck as the Dispatcher of the Year for 2023. Kylie was also Dispatcher of 2 quarters in 2023. Kylie does an amazing job for Umatilla County, and while she will be leaving for a job in Baker City, we know she will be a huge success at her new job. She has an extremely bright future. Thank you and congratulations, Kylie. Way to go. Under Sheriff Littlefield, if you could pass that information on to her from us, from the commissioners, that would be really appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Except for the part about her going to Baker City.
Yeah. That's not good at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Timmons.
Nope, I don't have any.
Okay. No. Any additions to the agenda? Okay. At this time, I'd like to recognize the public for any input that is not on the agenda, either in person or online. And so if you wanted to address the board, now is your opportunity.
Nothing here.
Okay. Hearing and seeing nothing, we will go into our business items. And number 1 is the Humbert refuse rate increase.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Gina Miller, and I am the county's liaison staffer for the Solid Waste Advisory Committee, and with me today is Katie King, the owner of Humbert's Refuse. And we also have with us today Mike McHenry, who is our chair of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee. And I thought that was going to be second, so let me just rearrange my papers here. Okay, today we have before you an rate increase request from Humbert's Refuse. The conditions for a rate increase request are outlined in Chapter 5.0, 5.070 of the Code of Ordinances. The franchise must submit an application to the Solid Waste Advisory Committee with a letter of justification for the rate increase and a table showing their current rates and the adjusted rates reflected in the rate increase. Once the Solid Waste Advisory Committee approves the request, it is then published in the paper of record for the county and posted by the franchise in 3 prominent public places in their service area for a public notice period of 14 days. The public notice invites the public to submit written remonstrances to the county by 5 p.m. of the last day of the public notice period. If no remonstrances are received, the rate increase request is then forwarded to you, the Board of Commissioners, for consideration. Humbert's rate increase was presented to the Solid Waste Advisory Committee on July 25th, 2023. Following discussion, the committee voted unanimously to approve the rate increase request and forward it to the Board of Commissioners for final approval. The public notice was published in the East Oregonian on January 20th, 2024, and the public notice period ended on Monday, February 5th, 2024. The public notice was also posted in the post offices of Athena, Weston, Milton Freewater, Helix, and Adams, and the city halls in Athena, Weston, Helix, Adams, and the Ranch and Home in Milton Freewater. No written remonstrances were received by the county, so today we are bringing this rate increase request before you for your final consideration and ask that you vote to approve or deny this request. Katie King, again, the owner, is here with me today to answer any questions you might have. So I will turn it over to Katie.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
Mike, I do have a question, and I understand, I read the letter. And it's the same question that I had for Hermson Sanitation when
Kevin.
they, with their new purchase, is when there's a sale and a purchase, the purchaser must know what those rates are and what the profit and loss is when they buy it. And then what happens is you come in, or the purchaser comes to us and asks us for an increase because of the purchase of that business.
Certainly.
And we don't have any control over what you paid for the company or what the conversations were, the risk, the reward. But where we only can come in and look at is rate increases. And you did a great job of explaining the operating expenses and those type of things, which I have no objection to that. Where I really kind of run into concerns is including the cost of the business that you bought into your rate increase. We have no control over that. That was a negotiated price between the seller and the buyer.
Correct. I don't think I indicated that I was including that cost. I just advised that they had not regularly gone in for increases over the years. That's why we were substantially lower coming in than we should have been, where their rates were. We're still, even with our increase, we're still lower than everyone in our area.
And I think you did a good job. Again, what happened, all we can look at is your last rate increase was in 2022.
Correct.
And so you're looking at the next yearly increase. And so to go back to the purchase price as part of the discussion, I think that has to be history at that point. But I think you did a great job at justifying what you're asking for. But I just would be remiss if I didn't bring the same thing up that I did to Hermson Sanitation.
Understand.
I do have a question. You said that you're going to just try to make increases, but you're going to take baby steps. And so the proposed rate increase appears to be enough just to maintain your operation. So what about, and I read in some of this information that some of your trucks were older.
They are.
Some of your equipment is older. And so I guess my question is kind of piggybacking on what Commissioner Doran asked. are you gonna be back in another year to ask for a substantial rate increase, just because
I'm
of the
hoping-
equipment?
I'm hoping not. We did receive the grant for one collection truck. So that's going to help on that side. We are looking at other grant options and whatnot because of the new recycle requirements that are coming forward down the road. Also, their DEQ is requiring us to get a new permit, which is quite costly because we operate a landfill where I don't think most of the other operators in the county still have a landfill expense. While it's very small. We're hoping to find some other grounds for some funding that way because, yeah, we're not going to get there with just rate increases,
No.
clearly, so.
Right.
And yeah, my hope is to have to go in less, but even like at the last meeting, I believe they approved the county's increase in franchise. I mean, everything just continues to go up, so I'm hoping it won't be substantial, the next rate increase, but I do foresee, at least for the next 5 years, I'll probably be standing right here.
I think that Mike and Gina and Bob and all of you guys kind of had this core discussion on how do we become consistent with all of the waste folks, so that we aren't in this situation of
Correct.
one's coming in high, one's coming in low, one doesn't come in at all for 3 years. That's what we as commissioners would really like to see, is some kind of consistent yearly instead of a large one and then a small one. And it's I know they
important.
used to be little small expenses to the homeowners. Now it
Everything's-
generates more and more calls all the time.
I
So
know.
I would encourage everyone to work towards a consistent, even if it's formulated or programmatic, however it's done. I would love to see that come back to us for review and look at some kind of formulated
Rate
rate
annually.
rate review every year. Yeah, I think that would be great. And again, you did a great job on your presentation.
We would like that too, then it takes the work off of me. I could just follow suit.
And I would just like to add on behalf of the committee that Humbert's has been one of the most proactive franchises in the county, reaching out to seek grants and whatnot to supplement their business. They are looking into alternative fuel options. I mean, they're really looking out there out of the box, trying to, make it work for their service area. So I think that should be said for them.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Gina.
much. Thanks.
Thank you.
With that, I'll go ahead.
Oh, sorry, were you
I'll
finished?
entertain a motion, so.
Yes, I would move that we adopt the recommendations from the SWAC and adopt order BCC 2024-019.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mike, would you care to join me?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, looks like number 2 is solid waste franchises. Gina is back.
I am back,
Back
yes.
up with her.
Our second matter before you this morning are the annual renewal franchise applications. And I'm pleased to introduce again Mike McHenry, who's currently serving as our chair for the Solid Waste Advisory Committee, and he is the owner of Pendleton Sanitary. So we're here today to ask you, the board, to consider the annual waste franchise renewals. We are currently in receipt of the renewal applications from Pendleton Sanitary Service, Sanitary Disposal from the Hermiston Stanfield area, Humbert's Refuge from East County, East Oregon Waste Management from Pilot Rock and the other long areas of Meacham and Ukiah, I guess you'd say, and Quality Compost, which is strictly a disposal franchise for a company in Milton Freewater that creates composting. According to Chapter 50 of the Umatilla County Code of Ordinances, each franchise must satisfy the following conditions in order to have their franchises renewed with the county. They must provide a copy of their current certificate of insurance. All franchise fees must be paid current through the fourth quarter of the prior year for collection franchises, and they must have paid the $100 disposal franchise fee. On April 18th, 2023, the committee met and considered all of the applications. At that time, the franchises had satisfied the conditions for renewal, and the committee voted unanimously with one abstention to approve the renewal applications and recommend the franchises to the Board of Commissioners for final approval. We are here today to present these applications to renew these franchises and ask that you vote to approve or deny them for renewal. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer, and so is Chair McHenry.
Thank you. Questions?
Yeah, real quick. First of all, Mike, thanks for everything you do.
Absolutely.
I don't think people realize how much time you put into this and the statewide committee. It's a lot. Did you guys adjust any of the franchise lines, any of the boundaries?
Not recently. We did.
I mean, during this request?
No.
No, okay. That's all I have.
Commissioner Tim?
I do not have any questions.
All right.
Thanks, you guys.
Mike, I want to thank you too for your time and effort. I know it's a lot of work. Recently, I was at a meeting and I walked into the wrong meeting and I walked into one with the Owner Recyclers Association.
That is the wrong meeting.
So yeah, I beat feet real quick. So, but they were doing a lot of work in that meeting. So I think we're going to see some changes on the horizon. I knew not talked about that in the past.
Yeah,
So
correct.
I think that's coming. So
It is.
The RMA is going to have significant impact for the citizens of our county and for the government and all the franchises.
yeah.
And rates as well.
Out there
Rates.
too, so, yeah.
So I do have a question there. Are you gonna see more litter and solid waste that aren't gonna get in the landfills? Are you worried about that?
Well, in any time of a rate increase, and especially if it's a significant one, you see that. You see people drop off service, and we do have more litter to deal with, more people not on service. But in my experience, doing this a long time, that's a cycle. They get tired of dealing with it, they get tired of, and it's less than a year, and most of those people are back on service. But given the RMA, the Recycling Modernization Act, implementation is July 1, 2025. That's when we're all going to be mandated to provide this new service. We're going to be dealing with rates and different things, and it's going to be a benefit for most of the citizens in the county having commingled curbside recycling service. But it's going to be an impact to their rates, and so we need to be prepared for that. And we're trying to put that information out there. Our newsletter, our company newsletter that'll go to all our customers will have. I wrote a piece for the city newsletter in November. I don't know if any of you saw it, but trying to get the information out there and break it to people that this new service is coming, but it's gonna increase the rates.
I have one more quick question. I'm a rural customer, of Humbert's actually. And so what will I see, just very quickly, what will I see?
So we're still, as you've heard, we're still in the rulemaking process, trying to figure out what's going to happen. And the rule requires that any city over 4,000 in population be required to provide the service. So cities of Hermiston, Pendleton, Umatilla, and Boardman is now over 4,000. Those city residents will, and that's one of the things, I think Kevin's on the Zoom call.
Yes,
from
Kevin.
Hermiston. One of the things we're discussing at the Solid Waste Advisory Committee is, will we implement this company-wide, customer base-wide, so that those in the rural areas will have this commingled recycling service, or will we only do it in the required area, the city limits? And in our case, and I've talked to Kevin about this, we will implement it in our entire franchise area. Now, Humbert's isn't going to be required because they don't have any cities over 4,000 to implement this service. So they may have drop-off options for all these items, but I don't want to speak on behalf of.
Yeah, I believe at this point, just because the cost is so significant that
Right.
until either there is funds available, because they're not even collecting, the big plan is that the pros are gonna help us.
Correct.
But they can't even start collecting until a few months before the requirements that we have a plan going forward. So, yeah, our intention is to have depots in accessible areas
Okay.
initially.
You're welcome.
Well, I opened up a whole nother can of worms there, didn't I?
Oh, we'll be back with you to talk about RMA as we get closer to the impact date.
Oh, good.
That's a good term, impact, because that's exactly what
Yeah.
have on the,
Yeah.
on the
It
county as
is.
a whole.
Well, I think if you consider the fact that that this legislation is requiring that these franchises have to provide this service, and yes, there'll be reimbursement from these PROs, which are the big producers of garbage and whatnot. They are trying to formulate a way to get reimbursement to them. But the problem is that reimbursement funding won't be available until after the time when the requirement mandated service is meant to go into service. So they've got to lay out the cash up front to get all the equipment to do this curbside recycling and then wait for the money to come later. And I think that, when you look at how, difficult it is to run a business anywhere these days, to all of a sudden, I guess it's what you call an unfunded mandate.
You can imagine how surprised I am that the state put the cart in front of the horse. So,
Those were my words exactly in so many of these meetings. That
yeah,
it is the cart before the horse.
yeah, it really is.
And PROs are just gonna pass on that cost anyway. It's
Of
still
course
gonna-
they are.
It's still gonna come
To the
back.
consumer, correct.
Yeah.
Well, and there's no enforcement built into it, and that's where I look at it from the standpoint, because of what I do, is that, there's no way for them to force, these people to participate in these organizations. They're using peer pressure as their, persuasion tactic to get them to join in and do what they want.
It's even worse than that when you talk about the governor's desire for additional housing. And all it is another step that puts another expense to that construction. Now you have construction waste that's even being designated for different piles of construction waste. It's just an additional expense to all the way through the chain. And it's not insignificant.
Unless the contractor's based out of Milton Freewater, then they haul the debris back to their home base.
Another
can of worms, Commissioner.
With that said,
Yeah, with that said, I think we have 8 motions to make.
I would move to adopt BCC 2024-011.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye. I'd move to approve BCC 2024-012.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye. I would move to adopt BCC 2024-013.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye. I would move to adopt BCC 2024-014.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye. I'd move to adopt BCC 2024-015.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye. I would move to adopt BCC 2024-016.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye. I would move to adopt BCC 2024-017.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye. I would move to adopt BCC 2024-018.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very
Thanks,
much, you
Mike.
two.
Thanks.
Thank
Did you guys rehearse that, just out of curiosity?
Sometimes we do it, we should.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, with that, I'm going to pause our regular meeting and we're going to open up a public hearing on collection franchise fee.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bob Walder, Community Development Director. This item before you is a proposal to amend Umatilla County Chapter 50, which is our solid waste ordinance, to adjust the county's solid waste franchise collection fee from 2% to 3.5%. This increase would be more closely aligned with the fees charged by city jurisdictions and is intended to augment the county code enforcement program. For those who may not be aware, solid waste franchise collection fees help support the county's code enforcement program, and the Community Development Department currently oversees code compliance in the unincorporated parts of the county, as well as multiple city urban growth areas. In addition, code enforcement support is provided to the communities of Athena and Adams through contracts with those cities. It's difficult sometimes to provide adequate coverage with the current limited staffing that is dedicated to enforcement in the field, given the county's large geographic area and rapidly growing population. For comparison, Umatilla County's 4 largest cities each employ at least one full-time code enforcement officer to field work within a much smaller geographic area. The code enforcement program currently operates with a part-time code enforcement field officer and a code enforcement coordinator who splits their time between administration of the program and land use planning support. The code enforcement coordinator also serves as liaison to the Solid Waste Advisory Committee and helps facilitate SWAC activities. Funds generated by this increase would help the Community Development Department increase the code enforcement program's presence throughout the county and to ensure compliance with ordinances that protect the health, safety, and environment in our community. Commissioner Timmons, you asked about increases in illegal dumping. This would be an example of how increasing our presence out in the field could assist with cleaning those efforts up. The county is operated off the same 2% solid waste collection fee, but this is collected quarterly since 1990 when the county's solid waste ordinance was adopted. So the rate's been in place, if my math's correctly, 34 years. In 2023, county staff conducted an informal survey of cities within Umatilla County to inquire about the city's collection fees. Responses received from a majority of Umatilla County cities show that cities are charging between 2 and 7% for collection. In addition, several cities also perform the billing services associated with that collection and charge an 11% administrative fee. This proposal has been shared with all 4 solid waste franchises in the county, and although it's not included in your packet, our department, at the request of those franchises and the SWAC, prepared this table and some graphs showing what the what the result of the increase would be into those quarterly collections. So that table, as I mentioned, shows what the current 2% collection yields, and then what it would be if it was increased, what the burden would be on those franchises if it was increased to the 3.5%. This proposal was presented to the SWAC committee at their meetings in October of last year, and then again on January 9th, and the SWAC committee recommended approval by the Board of Commissioners. So that includes my staff report. Are there any questions?
Is this a quarterly increase that we're looking at?
So it would go into effect July 1, so the next fiscal year. And yes, it would be collected, it would continue to be collected quarterly, but it would be a one-time 3.5, increase up to 3.5%.
So this is an annual increase, or is that a quarterly increase?
I mean, the graphs.
Yeah.
So the graphs show what we would collect on a quarterly basis.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
First of all, I'd like to thank Bob because this has been in the works for over a year now. And code enforcement is a tough position to fund, period. It's not a glamorous position. It doesn't cause a whole lot of hurrahs, even though I would give all the credit in the world to Richard and the Sheriff's Department, BLM, for cleaning up probably one of the biggest problems we've had in the county in a long time in the last 5 weeks. It's an administrative headache as big as it is a in the field headache. And I take my hat off to your team, the way that they've approached it with a very limited budget. I know that you've depleted other areas to make sure that those projects get done. I don't think people realize that code enforcement really engulfs more than just the piece of property you see with multiple vehicles on it and those issues. But it also engulfs things like the Shears property that blew up and trying to make sure that those properties get cleaned up and put back into use in the county and become productive again. So it is a wide range. And On the flip side of that, when Bob started digging into this, and this franchise fee is, it is a substantial increase, 1.5% on top of it too. It also goes back to the same admonishment to myself as we've talked to the other facilitators and parts of the SWAC, is that we need to be very diligent and intentional when we look at these rate increases. And I think that the more we can come with programmatic and formulas each year, we have a better chance to be able to go to the public and not just justify, but be able to explain these increases on the ground every year. So thanks, Bob, for all your work on this. It's been huge.
Commissioner Timmons?
No.
Okay. Anybody want to speak in favor of the proposal, either online or in the room? And if you're online, just raise your virtual hand. Okay,
None.
seeing and hearing none. Anybody want to speak in opposition to either in-line or on the room, and same rules apply for online? Raise your virtual hand.
None.
Okay.
John, does this gentleman want to speak? Did you want to speak, sir? The gentleman in the front row.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm only the reporter.
Oh.
That's it. You start going in.
Oh, okay.
And
Oh, I
I'm
thought you had
supposed
your
to
hand up
show
there.
interest in the proceeding.
Well done.
Good job, Rick.
Okay.
Now you're online.
Okay, and just to cover all our bases, anybody want to speak neutrally about the proposal? Okay, with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and go back to our regular scheduled meeting agenda. And with that, we have some action items on here.
The proposed date for the next reading would be March 6th.
March what, I'm sorry?
6th.
6th.
All right, Commissioners, Bob Walder, Community Development Director. The next item before your consideration is,
They haven't,
oh,
they have to set
We have
this.
to-
oh yes, you have
Go back
to,
Speak on more of this.
sorry, nope.
Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion.
I would move to set the date of March 6th for the second public hearing
Second.
on this item.
It'll be at our regular scheduled meeting, so. With that, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Bob, number 4.
Apologize.
Floor is yours.
So the item for your consideration is authorization to replace flooring in the planning office. One of the goals of our department has been to slowly make updates to our office. We've been doing that by painting and then periodically replacing broken or dilapidated desks and other equipment. If you've been through the planning office recently, you can see that the carpet has been well loved. And so this is an expense that was budgeted into our fiscal year 24 budget, and we're seeking your approval to work with Pendleton Floors to purchase the new flooring.
Is that purchase and install?
Yes, their estimate included purchase and install. The date on the estimate is somewhat dated, but our maintenance manager, Mark Tanner, recently coordinated with them, and their proposal still stands. That's what they indicated.
Great. Okay, with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Okay, I move to authorize funding in the amount of $7,845.80 to Pendleton Floors, Inc. for new flooring in the planning office.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Motion carries.
All right. This is my last item up here. So putting on my economic development hat for this one. It's an item I'm really excited about, and that is a request to do some economic development outreach by developing some marketing materials and also attending the Data Center World Trade Show in April. As you're probably aware, it's been a while since the county has spent a lot of time and resources on actively marketing our county. I think You could probably say we've been more passive in our approach to economic development, marketing, and we've been really fortunate as a county to have some really great developments essentially land in our lap, given our geography and other things that make our county desirable. With that said, I've been working with my liaison commissioner, Dan, to explore some different opportunities to market the county and grow our economy here. A couple examples of this include advertising in magazines such as Site Selector magazine, filming an economic development video that highlights all of Umatilla County, something that we could use on our digital platforms, and then trade shows, which we see opportunities for real face-to-face interaction with potential industries and developers. So we've been looking at different trade shows that are out there, and we've identified this Data Center World Conference as a strategic opportunity, not only to interface with site selectors from data centers, but also industries that support data centers. So an example of this would be the new filter business that's going into city of Umatilla. This company saw an opportunity here to support our growing data center industry by locating workers here to supply and install air filter equipment at data centers. And we understand there may be interest from this company in actually starting to manufacture those same filters here. So that's pretty exciting. So this is just an example of the type of relationships we would look to build at this data center conference. We do have financial commitments from the cities of Umatilla and Hermiston, as well as Umatilla Electric Cooperative, who've agreed to help staff the trade show, and so they would attend alongside us. And then in addition, one of the things we've realized through all this is we do need some high quality, professional looking marketing materials, as well as trade show displays to take with us. And so we've asked a local marketing firm, Duke Joseph Agency, to assist us with creating some cohesive marketing materials that will be able to be utilized for years to come. And so that proposal is also included in your packets. So take any questions if you have them.
Well, I'm pretty excited that our regional partners are going to go with you and do some work on this as well. I think that shows the rest of the world that we're in this together. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
They've also committed funding.
Yeah, right.
It is such an opportunity for us, I think that we all know sitting here that we are the heart of the digital corridor of the Northwest. And when you say that outside of this region, there's a lot of misconception on where Eastern Oregon is and how we get there. I wouldn't be as confident other than Bob has put together what I call the A-team, a very high-level all-star team between all of our finance, our assessment, taxation, our planning, our zoning, all of the people in Umatilla County that assist every time we have a opportunity to welcome a new business. And I think that's truly what really sets Umatilla County apart and makes us a welcoming community, but it also gives this team a high confidence level when they do attend these type of events, that when those phone calls do come, the response will be professional and it will be helpful, and we will offer every opportunity we can to help these folks come to Umatilla County. I see this first step as overloading Bob with lots of projects. Not that he isn't overloaded now, but I'm excited about it too.
Mr. Timmons.
I do have a question, Bob, and I'm 100% behind you. I think this is a wonderful idea, and I know that you've, like Dan said, you put together an A-team, and this is great. I was looking down through some of the information, and are we only going to, is our total cost to Duke Joseph Agency 7,500?
So that is for the development of the trade show materials and the companion materials that we would be handing out at the trade show, as well as a 60-second looped reel that will be on display there, showcasing pictures of Umatilla County. So the other part of that, which is I'm not asking you to consider today, is that economic development video.
That was my question.
That will come at a later time, and I'm still wrapping my head around that on funding options for that part. But it's something we've been visiting with Duke Joseph about, their team with Jeff Lorton and Val Ansel, who are local people, of developing a concept that the video and the trade show materials and any of our digital content will all be the same theme and cohesive and tied together.
Thank you.
With that said, I would be proud to make the motion to approve Bob's request for the authorization of funding for Duke Joseph Agency and moving forward with this project as quickly as possible.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you.
Bob.
You done already?
Sheriff's Office purchase. I see Captain Wolverton's making his way to the podium.
Good morning, Commissioners. Paul Wolverton with the Sheriff's Office. What you have from us before you this morning is a request to purchase ammunition. As you know, as police officers and some of our other staff that are required to carry firearms, we need to train and certify in those each year, several times a year. Our last ammunition purchase was about late 2022. That carried us through all of 2023. So what we're asking for today is basically our next year's worth of ammunition for training and duty ammo. We have an established law enforcement supplier who's been reliable in shipping and turnaround time on the ammunition, and is also the sole supplier in the western part of the United States for law enforcement pricing. With that, we are respectfully requesting to purchase training and duty ammunition in the total amount of $15,990.15. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer it.
Questions from
No, I thought it's silly me. I had actually asked Doug. I thought that we just did this, but I guess it's been quite a while ago.
Yeah, we didn't make a purchase at all last year. It was late 22.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, amazing. I would move for approval.
Second, but I have a question.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
I know ammunition is hard to get. Do you ever have problems?
Not with this supplier, and that's why we want to stay with them. Not only for the law enforcement pricing, but I don't know if you have the quote we got in front of you, but the amount that we're requesting is in stock right now.
Okay.
So we'll get it just as soon as we send them the check.
Second?
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you much. Administrative Services position, item number 7. I believe Dan Lanai is online.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. So I'm Dan Lanai with the Director of Administrative Services. I'm in Salem currently here. I did run into Senator Hansel last night at dinner, so we had a nice time catching up, by the way. Before you is we're asking for the elections record supervisor position that was part of the package for new positions starting in July. And with the upcoming, we're in the presidential year, and May 21st is our primary election, presidential primary election. And filing is due March 12th, and then our ballots are going out on April 6th to the overseas and military, to UCAVA. And with all this, we're in dire need to get this person on now so they can actually start to be trained and learn how our system works. We're not sure where we'll actually end up getting somebody from. They could be from another state, used to a different process, not vote by mail. And we need to get them up and rolling now with our primary. So when we come along in November, that person has already gone through an Oregon vote by mail election. Before you is to start that, to go ahead and start the process, hiring process immediately for this position.
Okay, any questions from the board?
No, I just want to advocate for this position. I know that there's a lot of interest, and especially with elections this year. And so I think this is something we need, definitely.
Was that a motion?
I'll make that a motion. I move to approve creation of the elections record supervisor position and immediate recruitment and filing.
Second that.
Got a motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Dan, I think I saw your car. Did you drive one of the Equinoxes down there in the Grand Hotel?
Yes, we are down here. So
I saw
were you
that.
here?
I was there, yes. So, but I'm home now. So, all right.
Great.
And so, I think we still have you up for our number 8,
Yep.
IT server software upgrade.
Yes, so as you know, our initiative is trying to secure our systems and making sure we cover any vulnerability that we have within our systems. And it's proven to be there's a lot of work going on doing all this. There's over, the people out there have all sorts of new ways and different ways, and it changes how they get into a system. And one of the main things is making sure everything is up to date and supported, our software. And our Helion ORCAT, so basically the records and assessment and taxation system, will no longer be supported come July, after the month of July, in support on that. And we are asking to go ahead and get moving on that right now with $5,300 to upgrade that software. This is the SQL, the Microsoft software on it, the operating system software. We already have, that's paid for because it's part of our data center. So we'll be upgrading both of that to the latest version of the Microsoft operating system at the same time as upgrading the SQL database system to the latest. And we'd like to move forwards with that. I've talked with Rachel and also myself with the records, and we both have funding to pay for this 50-50 match since both the systems run on the same server and database. So we're asking for to expend $5,364 since it's over the $5,000 limit.
Is that total or is that per department?
That's total.
Okay.
So it's 20 or 2,000. I can't remember. Let me pull it back up here again. Yeah, it's about a little less than 2,700 each.
Gotcha.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the purchase of Microsoft SQL server for $5,364.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Commissioners. You're welcome, and thank you.
Number 9, maintenance payables.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mark Tanner, Facilities Manager, Umatilla County. Before you is a payable for lighting upgrade out at the Sheriff's Office. I originally came to you to get approval for 8 fixtures, and the Sheriff decided he wanted to move forward with doing the remaining fixtures, so all 24. So the total is $8,990 for all of the new LED fixtures.
So this will make all the lights out there LED?
Yeah, they're all done.
So this has already happened?
Yeah, I originally got approval for the 8 that were out, and then the sheriff decided he wanted to do the rest, and so he called Gordon's and had them add it.
Any other questions from the board?
But shouldn't have that come to us before? Once we increase all those?
Yes. I was not aware of it, so I got told after the fact.
Okay, any other questions? All right. So it's a done deal, and we're gonna pay it now.
Correct.
I would entertain a motion.
I certainly don't want to put Gordon Electric out, but this is probably a process that we needs to be revamped.
I have a feeling his liaison commissioner's gonna have a discussion.
Okay. I approve payables to Gordon Electric, Inc. totaling $8,990 for light fixture replacement.
Second.
Got a motion, a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Item number 10, road sign order, Mr. Phillips. Waiting patient.
That's me, just a patient guy. Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Fellows, Public Works Director. The item before the board today, I believe that at least some of you are well familiar with. I know Commissioner Dorn has dealt with this issue down on Sagebrush Road. A number of truckers tend to stage their vehicles on a portion of Sagebrush Road, waiting to deliver their cargo to one of the businesses up there, and it's caused a great deal of angst amongst the community down there. In order for the road department to put up and post anything that will have any teeth to it as far as enforcement, it requires a board order. Therefore, I'm before the board today asking for approval to post the no parking signs on that portion of Sagebrush Road.
Any questions from the board?
I can give a little bit more detail if wanted. Sagebrush Road, basically down to Claus Road on the map. If you look at the map, Claus Road is here, Sagebrush. This building here is actually a potato storage building that's been converted to storage for standby equipment waiting to go into industrial sites. It's large equipment, has to be unloaded with cranes. So even some of these trucks that get parked here, and the majority of them are coming from Canada, need cranes, and some of them are actually oversized loads. So they filled this building, and then if you go by there, there's quite a bit of storage. What happens is these trucks, and it's been explained to them every different direction, is that they cannot park on this because this is a bus route. So even during the most recent snowstorm, when I got a call at 3 in the morning to go out there, and had a lengthy discussion with the truck drivers, didn't get a whole lot of cooperation. I did call the sheriff's department, and they responded. We did get a little bit of movement out of some of them, and we've also talked to the owners of the business that they have got to let these truckers and their brokers know that they cannot park there. It is more than a safety hazard at this point. One of the solutions that was come up with was no parking signs in the right-of-way there. And I talked to Tom about that, and Tom said we can put them there all day long, but they have no enforcement ability until there's a board of commissioners directive from us. So that's why it's coming to us for this, so that it'll actually give teeth to the sheriff's department to be able to cite these folks. So that's background. Any questions, I can answer that.
Well, I'm assuming, I see the undersheriff's still here, I'm assuming you're getting complaints as well on this out there?
Pardon?
Are you getting complaints as well on this out there?
Periodically we do, yeah.
Yeah, so this would help you, yeah.
And the enforcement piece as well.
Okay,
That's
well, I
the
think that makes my decision pretty easy.
Yeah.
So, I'll
Um,
entertain a motion.
I would move to approve the no parking signs to be purchased and installed on Sagebrush Road.
Second.
Got a motion, a second, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye. Thanks.
Just so the board knows, we actually ordered these signs a couple of weeks ago. We were pretty sure this was gonna be a done deal. So as soon as the signs get here, we will post them and they'll be put up right away. So thank you, commissioners.
Could you let us know when those signs do get up?
Sure.
Appreciate it. Okay, item number 11, Walla Basin Watershed Council appointments.
Okay, this matter is becoming before the board for appointments to the Walla Basin Watershed Council. They have recently expanded and received additional applications for their council, and so as a result, there are 3 new people that are recommended for appointment. And along with that, most of the existing members have terms have expired. So this order, as proposed, appoints 3 new individuals and then reappoints the remainder for a designated period of time.
Any questions from the board?
I would move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, number 12, Wolf Depredation Committee appointments. Sounds pretty similar to what we just did.
Yes, there is a vacancy on the Wolf Depredation Advisory Committee. The individual that is recommended for appointment is Casey Evans. And along with that, we are extending the terms for 3 of the other members through the end of this fiscal year.
I would move for approval of BCC 2024-021.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I'm missing that one, I think. Oh, I got that one. Did I do the, oh yeah, never mind, I'm good.
Okay.
Thought I was missing one, but I'm not. Compensation Review Committee appointment.
Should I do that?
That's the bill, not it.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robert Paul, CFO. Each year when we begin preparing the budget, we are required by charter to have a group of citizens be a compensation review committee for the elected officials. We have contacted the members of last year's committee and they're willing to serve again, and we'd like to appoint them so we can have a meeting and discuss those things for the upcoming budget.
Questions?
The only new one would be Steve then?
No, he was.
Those are actually all 3 from last year.
Oh, okay. Move for approval of the BCC order 2024-20.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Carries. Thank you. Item 14, Hermiston Public Safety Center.
Okay, this is coming before the board, request to add its support to the legislative requests for renovations for the Hermiston Public Safety Center. The county has approached along with other entities to support this request by, I'm not really sure who's the driving force, if it's the city or if it's the district.
I think the district.
I think it's the district, yeah.
Even though I know the city's heavily involved.
It's city-owned, but.
Yeah, city-owned but district-driven.
Yep.
Any questions?
No.
Okay. I would entertain a motion.
Okay. I move to approve Umatilla County support for Hermiston Public Safety Center legislative funding request.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 15, AOC dues payment.
The county received the invoice from Association of Oregon Counties for the 2024 general fund dues. and that matter is before the board because of the dollar amount. The request is to pay $36,288.60 to AOC.
The only question I have on this one is, normally we get a breakdown
I was
of
gonna say the same thing.
a spreadsheet of what,
Public lands and
Yeah,
everything. Yeah,
exactly.
I noticed that too, but I think that figure includes all of that, doesn't it?
I thought the way the cover read it wasn't.
Is it just the dues?
Yeah, and if we wanted, they would have included the other one, so apparently we don't normally fund the other ones, I don't know.
we do. Public lands we do, that's how we,
The way the memo read it was just the,
yeah.
I will reach out, because I think we should have, because I thought the same thing, I thought we should have received something else
We
too.
get a list that includes all of them, even the ones we don't pay for. I mean, there's
Yeah.
some that we don't, and it just zeroes out.
But I think Doug's right, I think that's just the dues for AOC without the add-ons, is that?
that's my understanding from the memo.
Yeah.
Can I ask Robert a quick question?
Yeah.
Do you think that matches last year's dues? I know that there was an increase of.
My recollection is that would be similar to the total amount we've paid in the past, which included support for several initiatives.
Why don't we table this one until the next meeting, and then we
Okay.
can agree on that, because I think that's important that we know exactly what we're paying for.
I don't have a problem with that. Which was really neat about that is Gina said everybody paid, all 36 counties paid their dues, so we're good.
When did she say that? No, she meant last year's.
Oh, last year's?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, no, that was last, so, yeah, let's table this and come back to that one, next meeting, because I want more clarity on that.
Just a simple spreadsheet.
'Cause I know there was an increase, but it was a very minimal, increase, it wasn't too much, so, yeah, let's table that.
And there was a new fee too, right? On the building?
No, the building's free clear. We got that free clear.
I thought there was no one in.
No.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so we're gonna table that till next meeting. 16, CCS support letter. Do you want me to talk about that one? Okay. So Community Counseling Solutions is applying for some congressionally directed funding, some CDS spending to remodel and expand its facility here in Pendleton. The improvements will allow it to consolidate its operations and provide for future operations. And they're requesting that the county provide a letter of support. So the motion would be to approve CCS funding support letter and authorize chair to sign.
Is this the old hospital building or the one downtown, or do you know what?
I believe this one's gonna be the hospital building.
Okay,
So,
gotcha.
yeah, because that was gonna be quite expensive to do a remodel on.
Yeah.
So,
I see the lights are on there all the time.
yeah, they're doing stuff in there, so.
I move for approval of the support letter for CCS.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And did you see the updated one of that fixed the grammatical?
Yeah, I'll, when I finalize it, I'll use that form.
Okay, with that, we have reached the end of our agenda. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.